Hi guys, how are we doing? Welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'm going to be going through how multifunction timer relays work, or just simply timer relays. And I think the thing for me with this video is I wanted to go through this because I think, and I see this at work, where whenever we want to do something in industrial automation, we always say, let's just chuck a PLC on it. And then the 1200 is not enough or whatever, it doesn't have enough IO. And then you go, okay, well, let's add another PLC or another remote IO or whatever. And these timer relays are actually very powerful in terms of what they can do. So I just wanted to go through that with you in this video today. So the one I've got, the particular one that I've got is just a random one that I bought at a car boot sale. It's a Crouzet. Never used it before in the real world, but it works here perfectly on my rig. So essentially with these timer relays, they're all pretty much the same. I've seen some that are 2 dials, some that are 3 dials. Essentially, what you have is a setting on here of different modes, and this is like a diagram of the different modes. So you can set the different modes, which I'll cover with you in a little bit. Then you set the time on this top dial here, and again, these can be in different orders, so just look at the timer relay that you're working with. So you set the mode here, you set the time here, and then you've got a fine-tuning, tweaking percentage scaler here in the middle. And so if you're dealing with one of these in the field right now, the thing to look at carefully with these is that, like, so on this time setting here, I need to use a bigger screwdriver. It's like it's got a very firm click there as I get to, you can see these black marks here, that one there. It's a very firm click setting as I get to each one. But this like sort of white indicator on my turn dial can be kind of positioned anywhere. So I can kind of position that there, but based on where I've set it, that click is actually there on the 6 to 60 seconds actually on there. So let's just get, if I can get you a bit closer there. Cool. So you need to be aware of that and just make sure that if your timer relay is bugging out in the field, just like probably just go all the way back to the beginning here and then just click through. So that's one click there, so that's actually there. Another click, I felt it even though the indicator's there, so that's there. Another click there. Cool. So yeah, anyway, just thought I'd mention that. So let's go through how it works. I will plug it in here, and there we go. Cool. So what I have here is I have it attached to my safety circuit. So, you know, if you don't know how relays work, this video might be a bit too advanced for you, but you should be used to just like a standard relay, right? So with a standard relay, you supply voltage to the coil, wherever it depends on the coil voltage. This particular relay is a 12-volt coil, I believe. It says DC 6 to 220 volts. So yeah, I'm not sure about this one, but it'll probably be a 24-volt coil. I know this relay here that I've got on the side here, this is a Vargo one. It's a 24-volt coil, and then obviously the contacts on the relay can switch whatever. On this timer relay works exactly the same. So as you can see here, I've got A1 and A2, which is these two here. So it kind of ignored, the diagram doesn't line up with the actual contacts itself. But A1 and A2 is my coil, and that's where obviously I supply my control voltage to. So in my case here, I've got A1 up here, A2 down here. I realize you guys can't fully see properly. And then what I have is, I have, this is getting complicated, sorry. So A1 and A2 is my coil, and then 15 is my voltage that I want to switch. So I've got 24 volts coming from my power supply into 15, and then that has a normally closed going to 16, which I've got spare. I'm not using 16, but if I was, this is what would be constantly powered, or a signal that would be constantly on when the relay is not active. And then when the relay activates, it closes my normally open coil on 8, so my normally open terminal on 18 gets turned on, and then that here for me on this circuit here, it powers these. It makes these terminals go live, and then my LED and this little motor that I've got will turn on and spin. So I'll show you that now. So what I've got is I've got this relay here. it's being powered. The voltage that I want to switch is attached to my safety relay over here. So if I hit my e-stop, then although my safety relay is still going off, there's no power that I can switch. So if I reset my e-stop, safety relays, e-stop's been reset, and then I've got my power to my coil being controlled via this switch here. So if I turn the switch off, my safety relay is now, my timer relay is now off. Turn it on, my timer relay is now on. Yeah. So let's set up the modes and the dials now, because I've played with them. So what I want to do is I'm going to set it just to mode A, which is a T on timer, just like in a normal PLC program. And I'm going to leave that at 5 in the middle there, which is 50%. And then I'm going to, it was currently set to, so if you look there, that top dial is set to 0.1 to 1 second. So this is now a T on timer. So after this set time, my output will turn on. So if I now, I've just reset that, yeah? If I now restart, if I recycle power to my coil on my timer, then it will then reset itself to these parameters. So just make sure you recycle power to your timer relay. So I'm going to turn it off and then turn it on, and there you go. So there, essentially after 0.5 seconds, the output turned on. Yeah, oh, I'm running down the wire. So let's do that again, but this time let's adjust some more parameters here. So let's set this one to be 1 to 10 seconds there, and then that's at 50%, so that will be 5 seconds. So now if I turn the timer relay off, so my outputs have gone off. If I turn it on now, then after 5 seconds, that will turn on. So you can see it's blinking here as it counts, and there you go, the outputs turn on. So that's on mode A. This particular timer relay has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 settings. You can kind of figure out by, you could go to the data sheet. So I've got the data sheet printed here, and then on the data sheet it tells you what the different modes are. So you can work out that, like, this one's a delay on energization, so that's a T on. This one's a timing after closing and opening of control contact, so that's a T off. So we'll set it onto a T off now. So if we go here now, set this to H, so that's our T off. So what this should do now is a timer off, right? So once I reset the safety, sorry, I keep going to safety relay. I was working with safety relays today, that's why I've got safety relays on my brain. Once I reset this timer relay, so I'll turn it off now, my outputs have gone off. And when I turn this timer relay back on, I energize its coil now, it will now have the new setting, which is a T off. So that means that the outputs will turn on immediately, and then after 5 seconds, turn off, yeah? So I'm gonna turn it on now. There you go. So the outputs have turned on, and then after 5 seconds, they turn off. And you can see how, like, if you're a PLC programmer, you would be tempted to probably always write PLC code for this. But the fact that you've got these timer relays that are this powerful, it's very cool. So the next feature, and probably the last one I'll show you, is, which you might have seen, I didn't talk about this Y1. So this terminal here, Y1, which is there, this allows you, so I'll zoom in, it allows you to set a trigger, and then now you can do even more cool things with it. So let's figure out which one is the trigger. So what I want is, let's go to my datasheet again. I want the delay after trigger, or single pulse on trigger probably. So we've got a bunch of different ones. So we've got pulse output, so that's probably what I want. Timing after impulse, so that we could do that one as well. But I think we'll just do pulse output. So that means that when this timer relay gets a signal from Y1, So that could be me pressing a button, which in this case here, Y1 is wired onto my green push button here. So we'll do that. So when I press this green push button, it will then send 24 to that Y1, and that will trigger an impulse, yeah? What we could do though is we could wire that to a PLC output, and then now have the PLC output control this timer relay as well, which is pretty cool. Then you see there, we've even got a flip-flop pause, which is like a toggle. So you press the button once and then the motor will run, press it again, the motor will turn off. So you can create a latch. This can act as a latching circuit just by itself without any other fancy functionality and no code written, which is pretty cool. So let's see, I wanted to do the pulse output there. So that's function BW. So let's do that. So I rotate here, all the way down to BW. So then now, let's turn off the relay, turn it back on again, and then now press the button. See that? So, right, I missed it. If I press the button, it pulses on the output and turns off. So literally, I've got it set there to, it's just, it's kind of mind-blowing really how cool these things are. So I've got my settings set to 1 to 10 seconds there, yeah? So it's on that 1 to 10 second setting there. It's at 50%, so that's 5 seconds. And I've got it on the BW setting, which according to the datasheet, which again, you want to be using a datasheet here. According to the datasheet, BW, where am I? Function BW is pulse output. So what that means is that the output will pulse on for whatever time I've got set here. So if I press this green button, then my output's turned on for 5 seconds. Or output. So now if I adjust this, so let's say if we wanted it so that when someone pressed the button for whatever reason, we wanted it to turn on for 50 hours, we could rotate this all the way this way. And then now, when I press the button, and then now that output will stay on for 50 hours. And this LED will literally be blinking the whole time. So if you're on site and you're dealing with these, obviously there's a problem in that like anybody can just walk up to these things and adjust these parameters, and then you're gonna have a problem. So I don't know, I haven't really seen settings of these be put on drawings, but you probably would want to have these on your drawings. Or at least like just record them and make sure you know what they are, especially if you're playing about with things. So like now that will just stay on and run now for 50 hours, which is insane. And yeah, I mean, there's tons of other functions that you can use with these. Or like I said, this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it 7? 2, 4, 6. Yeah, 7 different functions. So cool. All right, I think that that's pretty much all there is to timer relays, really. There's a bunch of different functions. Play around with them. Just, I guess, where I've been stung before is this dial here. When I look at it, it can be like, so that hasn't clicked over to the other setting yet. But it looks like if I was on site and it was dark, I would say that timer is set to AA. So I would be thinking now that this timer is set to function. Where's AA? I can't see AA on my AA function A, AC, AT. Where are we? Is that? Oh, okay. I'm an idiot. It says AC. Not even AA. So function AC is timing after closing and opening of control contact. So that'll be after I press this button. So yeah, so you just be aware of that. Other than that, I think these are pretty simple and straightforward. Cool. All right, I think that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Just, yeah, I guess consider these as an option instead of buying an expensive PLC. These cost like 20, 30 quid, and they're pretty incredible. Cool. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.